I suppose we just carry on. We move on to the next one. We've had a bit of time after 50 Slices to bask in the success of that film, and then it's after Ollie developed the idea for this film, he's done a couple of idea developments, and this is the one that we're doing at the moment, and just kind of went from there. Well, it allows a bit of a sort of semi-continuity or recurring gag where you'll get films and TVs where you'll have a returning character or a returning actor, and it'll be like an Easter egg for people to notice. And if it's not done like an intentional way, it can also be, as in like story-driven intentional way, it can also work as a really good kind of just Easter egg for people to notice. So you can go with a sort of a character, like story-driven reasoning, or it's just a fun little thing the filmmakers like to throw in. And I think on this occasion, yeah, it's more of the latter one, because it's more tied into we've got another funny barman character who may not be quite who they seem deep down in another Payjack Productions film, or another Nick Payne role, because I've done some for my own films as well. And yeah, it's like I just play the barman in a couple of things, and it's sort of a running theme, running sort of Easter egg in these films. Well, when you first meet Serji, there is little difference between them, which is the intention.
I mean, they look the same.
Yeah. Like, the intention is that they are very much, going back to my previous point, they are very much similar to each other, which is the gag, the Easter egg, etc. And then a little bit later on, there is a few things that are a little bit different to Mallory. He does get involved in some of the action, like Mallory, but he has different reasonings to do so. I won't say any more because you'll have to watch the film to find out. Yeah, Serji's one of the few characters who brings more funny moments, but I think you kind of need to have a few funny moments here and there to ease down the seriousness. Like the film sort of balances it anyway. It's not like very serious, very gritty, very dark. It's more kind of like it's a bit more serious than the Bond films. It's a bit more dramatic, but it's not like soaked in it. You have the bits of light relief to calm it down here and there, and I think Serji has a decent place to play in that. Yeah, he has a good place because he's able to provide a bit of comedy in a scene that has a bit of tension, but it's also trying to disguise itself as also acting like everyone's being normal and all. So you've got a mixture of just trying to play it nice and cool and nice and easy, but there is a bit of tension being built up as well as some other events are progressing, and Serji's there to bring some light relief. Plus, whatever the scenes before that could have been a bit more dramatic. Who knows? We'll have to wait till the film's finished to find that out. But then things are going to take a bit of a shift, but are still going to remain somewhat comedic with the character, but maybe in a slightly different way to when we first meet him. So there's sort of two types of comedy when it comes to him, but still underneath the style that he has brought to the table so far. Emma's amazing. She's a brilliant actress and really lovely person, and I've been lucky enough to get her on board with some of my stuff as well, and she's been a great friend since we met on production of this film, and yeah, she's been absolutely amazing as well. And also, she's incredible as Lydia. Well, in terms of when we first meet him, he is still the same old barman that we've seen from the like Mallory was in the Bonding films and the other versions of the barman I've played elsewhere. But later we're going to see him be a bit like Inspector Zenigata from the Lupin the Third franchise. So expect him to be a little bit more...
eccentric?
Yes. Outlandish. A little bit more outlandish than what you've seen before. But the reasonings behind that, again, are to be shown in the film. So I'm sure you'll understand why he's like that later on when we come to that bit. It involves a certain Basil. But in the first bit, when we first meet him, which will be with Lydia, he is the more typical barman from the Bonding films and My Love and Knockdown film. So it starts off like how he's been so far, and then we see his more Zenigata tropes coming a little bit after that. Well, in terms of the acting, I think we get to have a little bit of a double act again. We had more of that with Bonding, but this time around we get to have it again for a short period of time, which is nice. There might be another scene we do together that we haven't done yet. Stay tuned for that. That would involve another bit of working together, so we'll see how that goes as well. In terms of the co-producing, I think we mostly kind of sort of do our own things, helping with Ollie P, and sort of just merges together as a group effort. And also Matt Burns on the choreography, and kind of pushes towards his direction to take in an idea or two or suggestion and put it into the story, or see how it would look, see how it would feel. I don't think we really exchange much ideas so much. I think we kind of just talk as a group on the whilst on set or in the discussions, as well as also the earlier meetings we did. But yeah, I think it's more working on actually filming it rather than coming up with the ideas, and we'll just throw in something here and there as well. But it's still really good to work with them. Yeah, that was first of all, big kudos for the organising.
Oh, thank you.
And for Tom Metz for bringing the lights and hiring the hall
and Adele.
And playing Adele. The sound that we got, Matt's choreography, I missed that bit, but from what
we filmed some behind the scenes.
Yeah, from what I've seen in the behind the scenes filming and the filmed shots, it looks really good. So I think you guys did a great choreography there for those bits, and the extras seem to be really into it. Great stuff in getting them in, and I think we had a really achievable pair of days with that. Working with Ollie was fun. Working with Emma was also really fun as well. We had some funny moments with both sides of Serji's character as described, with each of them. Emma for Lydia, Ollie for Basil. So those were pretty fun. There was an incident outside where I did slip over, so that's probably going to be on the blooper reels. I'm glad it was me and not Ollie for reasons that you'll see in the final film. Well, for starters, it's taking less time to make. It's going to be roughly 2 years production from like coming up with the initial script. Depending when it comes out, but it will be this year, almost certainly, 2025 now. So it will be roughly 2 or so years. So that's, for starters, that's less than Bonding, because they did take a bit of time out. And even if you take that out of the equation, it's probably still a 3-year production on that. So shorter production and more quicker to knock out than the first 2 years of Bonding, although the third year was a bit quicker on that front as well, so it's probably similar to that. But about a third of that was already done anyway, so this was started from scratch. Which is always good, of course. And it's got more varied locations, settings, characters, and of course the actor availability, so we've got to work around everybody. But I think once with those aspects managed, we get the groove and we get some really good stuff knocked out. In terms of what I'm most excited for, as well as seeing the final film put together, I'm looking forward to seeing how it will look as like a interesting heist drama, with a bit of levity here and there, of course. How it will be, and of course the storyline being different to Bond gives it a more unique premise. Yes, I play quite a few outside the barman elsewhere. I play many in my own projects, including the lead, a couple of his friends, a couple of the villains. In other stuff, I've also been Rumpel and Charming, where he's sort of like a cackling villain, so I get to play into the more comedic roles. But I've also I did a thing for another Ollie, where I was a bit more of a somewhat serious character, but still sort of a parody of real life people. But also in the context of that story, it was a bit more serious. And yeah, I've probably done more serious elsewhere, and I'm totally up for doing more serious characters as well in the future, so we'll see how that goes. Well, the next one, which is still underway, features episode 19. This time, Commander Nick might be getting a love interest, but we're also going to see a bit of a battle at the house, and then later on it's the 10th anniversary of the series, and episode 20 is in the plans, which is going to see a sort of half flashback, mostly flashback adventure to a couple of previous events before the first episode, but after the recent episode 0, and between the first episode, the original first episode, and the second episode from the first series. And we've also got episode 20 coming up later down the line, which is going to be hopefully either around the time of the 10th anniversary or as part of the celebrations for that, and then released a bit after. And most of that will be a mostly flashback story, where parts of it will be between the recently released episode 0 and the very first episode. Some bits will be between that first one and the second episode, which opens the first mini-series. So we've got a few interesting stuff to look forward to and tie into a wider current narrative at the moment.
Well, excellent. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see you soon.
See you soon.